Those of you who don't get flyers, who want to get flyers, who want to join, if you just want to give us an address, maybe you can get a hold of Jackie back there or me over here. Give us an address, because we do send out flyers for the readings. And also, I make telephone calls. Let's see. And most of you will probably want to know when C.K. Williams is going to be here. Also, Warren Pickford is going to be playing that night. And also, I'm not sure, but we may do the next reading at the Art Center in Radio Park. You promised to work with them this year on 3 readings. The Poets Association has a board of directors now in order to get grant money through the city and through the Alliance for the Arts. And the Fresno City and County, the local partnership program, the California Arts Fund, we have to put together a board of directors and do a lot of things, and I think we've got a good board of directors, because they're planning to do a fundraiser somewhere around New Year's or after or before, maybe once around, who knows, but they're working hard on it. We're going to need all kinds of things. Hopefully get more money, get some poets come here. Not that we don't have plenty here, we've got plenty here, but most of the poets here want to hear some of the other poets come and read. And then let's see, what else is there? Well, everything else. And also it talks about the fundraiser being a New Year's evening of music and poetry. I'm not sure about that. Let's see, tonight, another thing is there's a Catholic poetry class at Hoover High in room 6 on Tuesday nights. And anybody interested in sitting around talking about poetry, come over there. It's in room 6 at Hoover. Tonight, Gene Janzen and Omar Salinas. I guess most of you know Jean, but some of you don't. She's the author of 3 books. Words for the Silence, 3 Mennonite Poets, and The Upside Down Tree. And she's been included in 2 anthologies, A Widening Light and Piecework, 19 Fresno Poets. She has 95 poems that have been published in various magazines and journals. She is the finalist in the Wesleyan University Press New Poets Competition for publication of her collection, The Upside Down Tree. We'll find out if she wins on November 19th. Well, soon we'll know. My days there. She also works in the Poetry in the Schools program. She teaches at Pacific College and also Fresno City College. She's sitting in for Ernesto while he's out. Hopefully he'll be back soon. One of the things that I wanted to say about her poetry was that I find most amazing and dynamic in her poetry is her ability to announce or enunciate the transformations that have occurred deep within her soul and her life, to express those transformations so incisively and soundly, with a striking sense of composition. She has found the opportunity to compose, and at times to compose with such humor and wit. Her writing seems to probe both inside and out, and the perceptions intense with relationships, sharp, unmuddled with social irrelevancies, and yet they are beautifully social. She has the virtue of being call it imperturbability. I love the voices of rural America. That is, the voices that represent the individual people that grow up in the farmlands and pastures of North America. But I don't like to hear those voices that strive to represent rural America, especially playwrights and politicians who pose themselves as representative of small town America. They are too much like the people who represent violence. Janzen is all the more special to me because the poems don't suffer the droop with the degradations of imposed corrections. She has her own conditional sense of speaking with the power and intensity of her own experience. Her poems remind me of the metaphors of the stream that trickles into the creek and into the rivulet, and the rivulet into the river that merges with the sea. The river being the individual person merging with the collective social whole. Her poems have that freshness and vitality of birth. It's not surprising she's married to a pediatrician. I hope that he is not the jealous type, because her poems are strong, naturally dramatic mergings and unions with the greater social collective. Her poems, I think, are among the most encouraging poems in print today. Are you ready to read these?
Now, is this about right for a sound?
Make a P sound.
P. No. Too close, huh? We'll adjust it. Is this enough sound?
No.
Oh, no? Closer? How's this?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the mixed blessings of reading here is this trying to live up to Chuck Moulton's introductions. After that, what can I do? What can I say? Except I'm at your mercy. Thank you very much. Chuck, you're very generous. The other thing is I can't see you. The lights. But he does this. So maybe I can do this 2 at times. Okay. I'm going to begin with some California poems, and I sense they are rural poems as well. It seems that is part of the theme that keeps coming up. I think every poet who lives in California, one time or another feels he must write a poem about about earthquakes. I hope this one is natural and it'll feel like I have to be written in that sense. This earth. When the floor rolls and the lamps sway, I yell, earthquakes, and we all head out the door. We gasp as the house finishes its shutter, and for nights afterward, lie fitfully on our floating beds. In my grandfather's book, Last Times, everything quaked and swayed. Whole families fell into a deep crevasse, screaming. All humanity on the road, and the road split open. In 1902, Grandfather preached Christ's imminent return. Even then, he headed north with his family. The train swayed with machinery, cattle, and bags of seeds toward the virgin prairie, which lay open and ready, enough for 7 sons. This earth, rolling, tipping, tumbling us on, my grandfather now asleep in the hold, and I on deck, I swinging, my whole self a pendulum, and the sun every degree, shuddering and dropping like a dog. I've been doing a little bit of research on early California history and the legends that go with it. And I came upon one which seemed to me so interesting, just in itself, that I thought it was almost a poem in reading. But I think I have taken some liberties and condensed it a bit here. This is the legend of Love-Mas Lopez. Love-Mas Lopez rode away on his flying palm tree years ago. His caballeros, too, with their errands of mercy. He planted the redwoods and taught the coyotes how to sing. He smelled evil from 1,000 miles away, gathered it and hurled its mass down from Mount Tamalpais, forming the San Francisco Bay. He hated money. The first trading ship sailed into the harbor one summer morning. In fury, he opened the gates to his pig farm and stormed away. The pigs, they say, plunged into the Pacific and began swimming for Hawaii. Now all that evil lies under the weight of the bay, and no one knows its effect on the water, which continues to graze the shoreline. As for the pigs, sailors claim they have seen them. They tell about their endurance, their buoyancy, how accustomed they are becoming to the sea. That one feels like it needs a sequel. Now can you hear me? When my face is down, is my voice up?
Be a little louder.
A little louder?
6 inches closer to the
Can I be honest? Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. In this search for California and the interest in the history, I came upon the stories of Drake's Bay and began to write about Drake's Bay and Drake. It became very uninteresting. So I decided to follow the poem, and it went in quite a different direction than I expected it to. It is still located at Drake's Bay, but it has more to do with, I think, the fragility and tenacity of life, and how tragedy can lead to life, and how tenacious the spirit of life is, after all. At Drake's Bay, God wanted you to be, my mother tells me, 6 children, and the doctor offering little advice. And yet, the choices. My grandmother ends her life, and my father is adrift. At 14, he washes onto the prairies of Canada. What corridors of water and wind brought me to life? She had stared for days, her children begging her to speak. It was April, the earth's first moon blazing under the pull of the Ukrainian sky, which shattered over her, smothering her. And the children scattered like pebbles. My mother, 80 now, stands with me on these scoured stones where Drake blew in down to his last vessel. The doctor suggested abstinence, she laughs. And we laugh together as the bright wind whips our bodies and roars in our ears. As the blue mussels and thick colonies cling under the surge of the breakers. A valley poem. Kind of a rural poem. young, we slept on sheets made of flour sacks. Their coarse weed marked our skin like the flax field when it blew and we lay in it. There are stories with threads so fine that the weed would match the filmy Dhakas of India. This valley's cotton fields watered with pure snow. Then, in the season of dust, the bowls open in their soft clouds, easy and clean. I can draw the fibers into such a twist of strength and delicacy, the fabric would last for a lifetime, for others to hold. But who would remember the rough furrows choked with weeds, body salts draining into broken skin, or the father who came home empty? Like Jacob, he laid his head on a stone and slept, dreaming for us the shining ladder which I ride in my own dreams, my children safe beside me. But this is the season of empty skies. The parched valley holds its breath as the temperature rises. The mockingbird stills and the river stops in its bed. Yet in the heart of the fields something whirs, something that could catch a breeze, that is smooth enough to lie on as the night sky spills its stones and tears and its invisible light. When I first found out about sex, I couldn't imagine people doing it. And sometimes it's still difficult to look at some couples. Last spring we had some fantastic tulips grow in our garden. This is one of the many gifts Louis gives us, the flower garden. Couldn't believe these were kind of hiding among weeds, and they were just so exotic, wonderful. Brought them in. This is the home. Parrot tulips. Parrot tulips lean out of the clear glass vase, lavender and purple with extravagant ruffled edges. They are my aunts at a wedding, taffeta over the bust, heavy thighs under wings of a skirt. They clutch their gloves and sway a little in their tight white shoes. And none of us can quite imagine their real home, the tropical garden, bird whistles, the tangled vines, crocodiles among the lilies, or how they stand up tall and fragrant after a torrent of rain in the steamy emerald afternoons. One of the great events of this year for Louis and me and for our son Peter was to travel in the Soviet Union. We have been there once before, Louis and I have, in 1975. So 14 years later, we went back, and this time it was such a special occasion because we were able to meet first cousins whom we had never met before, nor had anyone for 80 years in my family met these people, or have they met anyone from our family. We had a wonderful trip in other cities as well as the places where these cousins lived. But I think that the experience of this meeting is something I can't describe to you this night. I am going to read a poem about it in a little while, which I hope begins to give us some of the sense of what it is to reclaim and what it is to find a lost part of your family. I'm going to begin, though, with the story that goes a little farther back, which is the story of my grandfather. And he was in the Ukraine, born there, and living there until 1904 when he died. And what this poem is about connections between him and me, which I feel because he was very interested in the arts. He was a farmer. He was an unsuccessful farmer because what he wanted rather to do was make musical instruments and play them. He made them from scraps of wood and whatever he could find. He spent time decorating wagons for his children and all these things that don't make for prosperity or to be lines and strings. As you carved a violin in the Ukrainian night, Tchaikovsky up north tangled with the pathetique. All those lines and strings pulling him on, and something drew you to the tension of catgut over wood, those scraps you shaped and glued in the lamplight, even as the wheat sown too late withered under the moon. Something, no grand finale after 4 movements, but a single melody that etched its way into the children's drowsy heads as they spread blankets on the dirt floor. Lifeline and starline are what you gave me. One line continues, the other breaking off between constellations, leaving empty spaces in the map's black sky. Cold places where sometimes you appear, tall and bony, scraping your bow on the bridge. And then we dance, you and I, tethered, stepping among the stars. This is about my grandparents' wedding, imagining, and based on fact as well. Plain wedding. I tried to imagine my grandparents on their wedding day flying over the Russian village with cow and moon. But Chagall's donkey drops them with a thump. None of that frivolity, the fathers said. Black dress for the bride, black pendants over the apple breasts, hair tightly wound. What could have lifted them above the somber wedding sermon and congregation was song, that sturdy volume which creeps and thrusts into the barest room. Warm voices in 4 parts, lifting the 4 corners of paradise with its lavender skies. Großer Gott, wir loben dich, washing over them. A purity of canvas, of bride, not to be blemished, but with touch upon touch to be filled. My father left the Ukraine as an orphan in 1910. He said goodbye to 2 little brothers and 3 sisters. By 1935, all 3 sisters and 1 brother had died of either, by 1935, the 3 sisters had died of either starvation or sickness. On our trip this summer, we learned that Uncle Daniel died of starvation in a prison camp in the Urals. In 1942, we didn't know this until his son told us. One survived the war, Uncle Willie. He survived by a very finest margin, and his children just barely survived. These are the ones we met. The surviving brother wrote my father letters starting in 1956, and they corresponded until their deaths. And the meeting then was so very emotional and special for us. This poem, I hope in some way commemorates the meeting. And I think it commemorates the death. And I hope that at the end of it, it celebrates, most of all, the preciousness of life. It's in 4 short parts, the cousins. Their hands move across the map. Here, then here, they say. 6 months on a freight train, dirt huts on frozen steps, the Urals where father starved to death. Here mother fed pigs, and here she was in prison. The morning light shifts over us, Willie's hands so much like my father's, the fine hair shining in the curve of the nails. Here, my father said to me, a child, breathing beside me, from Kharkov to Libya, to Liverpool, and finally to Quebec, his fingers sliding away over the smooth, pale blue. This Dutch dialect is like a house I haven't seen since childhood, and we are reconstructing it with syllables and hand motions, beams, struts, a roof of willow and may, timber nearly lost. Now Lena points past the belching coal stacks. There is the mine where we worked. There our first home falling over the collapsing shafts. And there the tree where we ran and played with Papa. Papa, who once lay in the morgue after a beating and breathing. And when he heard voices entering, he raised his hand. I'm alive, the hand said. Abram has come all the way from Siberia to meet us. He carries photos. The album is thin, the pages stacked with bodies. There they lie under the muffled ringing of axes, under mountains and mounds of snow, their pupils fixed like stumps of pine. The river lies locked and silent, he says. Nothing but a shriek of bird, a winged shadow. Yet sometimes I hear it creaking, the ice screaming in its gravel air. Supper under the summer trees, melons chilled and well-watered, a cup of kvass from hand to hand. Someone remembers a child herding a flock of geese, or was it a flight of geese following a thread of river, tracing it out to sea? In Willie's lap, a mandolin murmurs the melodies of grasslands, of a windy sky. Nothing between us now, but our warm breathing, our words already disappearing. I'm going to end with a poem entitled Home. Sometimes while cleaning the house, I raise my feather duster high and I do a Slavic stomp and twirl. My blue eyes flash in the mirror as dust flies up and settles down again. Sometimes singing, I stand in the kitchen sunlight and break 12 eggs into a bowl for pasta to eat after Black Saturday. A tower of yolks, sugar, and flour shaped by fire and air. Father and a boy gaped at the procession of candles and the blackened face of the icon. Then the dance in the village street. Dust flew around the dizzying skirts, men stomped and shouted, and he ran home breathless, the wind on his bare feet. Somewhere near Kharkov, where his mother waited. Home, now a black ash washed into the earth, where the wind moans, where the bones of his parents wait, everything made. Bread, dust, the elements of fire. Waiting for that final restoration. All of us dancing home.
Obviously, there's a number of virtues I left out of that introduction, such as the ability to use history in symbolic form. If you do it right, you get almost like a rainbow. I made another list of virtues. Next time I introduce you, I'll have more to say. Anyway, it's, I think, really special tonight to have both Team Janzen and Omar Salinas. They make a perfect team here. Most of you know Omar. If you haven't, let me tell you a little bit about him. Omar is the author of Crazy Gypsy, his first book. And another book that came after that was The Afternoon of the Unreal. And after that, Darkness Under the Trees and Walking Behind the Spanish. Another book, Prelude to Darkness. And then Selected Poems. And his most recent book, The Survivors. He has earned the Earl Lyons Award and is the winner of the Stanley Kunis Award, as well as the General Electric Foundation Award. He has had his poems included in a number of anthologies and is included in many journals. And he is an internationally known and recognized poet, recently translated into German and Italian. That's really interesting. It's being translated by a guy named Wolfgang Bender. When that happens, we'll have to get somebody to read it in German, so we can go on to Bender. Omar and I go back to long ways. We used to load the hay trucks together down there in Bakersfield. And we go back further than that. Sticking our heads in the mouths of lions on the zoo. Somebody remembers that, but it's true. Anyway, Omar has given us a feast of poetry, of poems of laughter, of sorrow, poems of cross purposes, conflict and emotion, resistance and strength, strife and feeling, uncooperative love, reckless courage, blunt quarrels, aggressive enterprise. Poems are remarkable for their finesse in taking a small detail, something lost in the shuffle, and using it to elicit the strongest emotions. I don't think there is anything that increases the size of the intellect more than confronting emotional realities. Omar is a crazy gypsy. He's also a solemn giant. His poetry does this, and his poetry gives back to the world with a different ordering of things, a different sense of what is possible, a scholarship of dignity and solitude, and poems of lyrical intensity. And I'm happy to bring you Omar Salinas.
This is the third time I've read with Teen. Really like her style, her voice, and her poetry. Tonight I'm going to start off with not my own poetry, but I got a copy of this book last couple of weeks ago. And, it's by Kino Villanueva, who teaches in Wellesley and lives in Boston. I'm taking off the dark. There's a poem in here he wrote, which I like. I told him I was going to read it. It's called The Variation on the Theme by William Carl Quinn. His famous poem, refrigerator poem. And here's what he does with it. I have eaten the tamales that were on the stove heating, and which you will probably have for dinner. Perdóname, they were riquísimos, so juicy and so steaming hot. Poem titled, I Live Among the Shadows. With the backdrop of lovers in the meadows, this beating heart asking to be dropped like fruit from a tree, I go again into the shuffle of my mind, somewhat weather-beaten, carrying shadow to the fields. This is the fictional rendition of my life. I am the blind organ player, none the keys are white, none black, the music somewhere in between. And when I think of the afterlife, a trail of breadcrumbs leads back to itself, fattening the gray birds that ask nothing of me but circle all day in the near blue distance. Sometimes I think I could throw a stone, a coin, a silver bracelet with my name. Sometimes my sure is no defense, and the birds are vague as an inch on the lover's backs in the field, or stars behind the clouds of night. Sometimes they're as vague as my eyes, as the one road of the lost, as my empty hands. I must have left something somewhere. When this life no longer smells of roses, it will be raining, the air will be blue, my compadres will be singing rancheras and seagulls will be dancing the jarabe. My loved one will come all the way from Paris, my creditors will denounce me, children will be trashing piñatas, and in the barrio they will be singing por una mujer casada. A would-be nun will slash her wrists, a gypsy will have his guitar stolen, my poems will turn up in Mazatlan, starch that's napkins in good cafes. And I'll be rehearsing about it by Negrete, dreaming of villages with white breasts of the sea, and there will be plenty of laughter. When this life no longer smells of roses, I'll have left on a tour with Don Quixote. I'll leave no forwarding address. Back in town again. With clouds dying in the sky, I accept the past year of boredom and sit in my polished brown coat and grin at the workers shuffling off in their turbulence. I'm convinced hell has no back door. All they can do is breathe and not push too hard. The mad peacock flutters, the finch, the cats and dogs walk and stare with the mid-noon sun, and my anger has a face I don't want to see. The patroller ringing country western and the years pass like limousines. I count my living friends, pause at a grave, button my coat, and light a cigarette to the women that encircle me. My mother lights a candle in church and I'm her friend again. My father is losing his sight, but the spirit is stubborn as milkweed commanding the earth. And I stand in a corner, a little happier, looking to the trees, walking softly into town. And most of you know I spent some time in Carrillo. I went off. I was about 21 years old. And, I was going to say convert, but something like that. And here's a poem titled Beyond the Sea at the Sanitarium. One with the eyes of a sufferer, one with a face of milk, the saddest one looks for God, the others forget. Gertrude in the nude in her room waiting, the one beyond help doesn't know Gertrude like I do, and Paul faces the wall. They're bringing in drinks, What dreams lay here like broken ships the sea won't forget. And this ship of the lost won't move. Only John and Gertrude move, but it's like a long dip in the ocean. Their bodies are pressed together like something from the sea, making the small noises of whales that have no end. I'm going to read a poem, but new. It was a lost poem. The only person in the poets that know exists or have read it are Philip Levine, who helped me with it, and John Weinberg. It turned up about a few months ago in a batch of poems that were sent from another publisher in New York. It's a sex poem. By that I mean mostly rain, but here's what it's titled House Woman Poem. The house is upset, the rain is making it inside the bedroom. The woman is upset, she's getting her ass wet. The house writes a poem about her getting wet. She stopped fucking the house because of a lousy poem about her getting wet. The house is upset, and she is upset, and it just keeps raining. I'm reading mostly from Silence of Days. It's selected from came out last year. And I have copies of the book if any of you are interested. The fresh start. I begin to tell it. This morning breaks into my life like a blue pale stranger who wants nothing and begs for life as if I could add it up to something. And the silence grows immaculate in my fingers, wanting to touch someone tender. I wonder if love is like an aperitif, turning one into a trunk, or some tubercular ghost suddenly appearing. I grieve the melancholy of sorrows and how the persimmon tree outside like an only child, and I'm aware I'm alone, and I'm walking sideways in my many childhoods, anarchist and lonely hunter of the dark. I could say from it all, the clouds have nothing to say, and my loves are so distant that I must have made the story up. I'm going to go back to Cuba. Last time we were president. Mid-noon and I'm between a pastrami and a dream. In love with bad love. I put out my secret and count my blessings. Bad karma, no lover. I want to seduce the nearest woman and run off to the nearest motel, but the nearest woman is thinking of vegetables and buying a gift for her lover. So I walked down the avenue, feeling great and important, and bumped into a lesbian friend who's out of work and needs a job. I give her $5 and feel that the next life, I'll get her all back. I'm going to go with a long poem. I tend to read my poetry too fast. That's what I have to do. I like to read slower so I have to read many poems. I am America. You might say I plundered this from equipment or somebody, but it has a lot of good stuff. I'm America. It's a hell of a world. I go like a schoolboy stepping through the murderous countryside. A bit of rhyme, a little drunk with the wonderful juices of breath, and the magnificent with a magician-like words slipping to the voice of America. I carry my father's coat, some coins, my childhood eyes in wonder, the olive trucks plucky in their brass ride through the avenue, the wine on the halo of freedom, the shopkeepers of democracy. I am brave and I am sad and I am happy with the workers in the field, the pregnant women in $10 dresses, the night air sopping and stuffing to chat like a child romantic lady, wild romantic lady, children's voices and dogs, the bars, the songs and fights. I go ruminating in the brothels, the ghettos, the jail, the braggart, walking into early cafes, confessing naivete in love with the unemployed. I'm a dream in the land like the black, Mexican, Indian, Anglo, and real faces with the pictures of justice. I go gaudy into movie houses for a willing spectator of horse races. I'm not in love or unwanted, but I have seen the faces of the rebel, the outcast. I have touched the madness, all the terrible, and I have seen the ghosts of the past. I'm a friend to all, for I have touched everything, even the empty plates of the poor. I put on my clothes, my hat, I visit everywhere. I go to market for bananas, I smoke the air, breathe America. I'm wretched and mean and kind and compassionate. I remember catechism class, the nuns and the priests, my sister's wit, and the neighbor's beautiful wife. I'm walking behind America, suspicious, high-eyed, open-faced in the distance. I'm the father of prayers, obedient. I'm the father of women, the son of women. I speak as a common man and listen like the wise. I am America. When my heart's grown cold to me, I will be the seer of my intellect. I will put an end to mystery with the bravado of the seeker, drunken, rebelling in this American continent, tight-fisted, exposed like a blue rose to the night stars. My recent chapel.
Pull the mic down a little bit.
Love rushes by. I'm thinking of those evenings of love rushing by me as thrushes rustle to the leaf of autumn, and I want to wrestle with fate and toss it about. I also want to believe in the threads of hope entangling me, prodding me to believe in a face coming towards me one afternoon, weeks or years from now, perhaps an afternoon when the valley rain has stopped and the sun catches in the window of the cafe with just such a face to sit beside me and linger over tea. I take leave of the patio where birds dance about like unconcerned acrobats, for like them, I want to learn the lesson of unforgetfulness. I put on my jacket and drive to the fields. A full moon is rising. I light a cigarette and sing to all the Madonnas of faith. Survivors. October and the moon is quiet as the acacias. As a woman who sleeps with her eyes open, a few roses look me in the eye, and I don't know whether I'm awake or not, whether 50 years of dreaming have caught up with me. My mother's best dreams are of a childhood on a farm, but I remember my uncle telling me how her mother died at the age of 23, how she put matches in a jar with water and drank it. It too must have been October, and now I have no one to give my soul to, caught like a child in a game of darkness. I chase my lady friend Gloria in a dream to wherever it takes me. A woman at the end of the road quietly sings, with no one near but me, the frost-bitten earth, the sun, and pigeons pecking our hands. Magnificent little gift to friends with troubles. I collapse into the awareness that life has been fighting me. The question is, from what corner of the room shall I slash its grim victorious smile? My feet ache from walking. I rebel, slowly turning into the corners of the mind, believing I'm an angel. Yesterday I lived like a bird. Today I adore roses. Tomorrow I'll weep looking at the white bones of mountains. Maybe if I remember the dying, I'll be all right. I have a dog that follows me from room to room like a doctor. The wives of the moon sit silent. A berserk seagull dances on the shore. I live the music in me, gazing at a train that never stops, tripping into bars, thinking of churches, and dancing with a girl with the heart of an angel, the eyes of a dove, the arms of the Madonna. As I said, life is fighting me. I shall aim at the Lord its ears, breathing poetry, count stars in the evening, float with the universe. Thank you, God, for this gift, this life. This is a poem. There was many years ago, 1974, 73. A young friend of mine drowned in the river, the lake, and I think he was 22, 21. He's also a poet in the story that name of Ben Durazo. Some of you remember. Here's a poem entitled Early Death. The rain tonight reminds me of you, silent friend. taken in the alabaster toward afternoon. The sun was leaving when the sun comes back. I feel like beating up philosophers or putting on a ghost long shirt to search you out of this tempest. No use. No one wants anything to do with the dead. There in the afterlife, your face will shine like an orange moon. A bit crazy. I'm growing fonder of the light which spears this heart of olives, like a huge hand that wears shoes, like light-hearted woman up to the opera. Darkness has scattered my clothes, my poems. Evening salutes like an admiral. My heart is among the trees in laughter. I leave my solitude holding on like a scared prostitute, and I go on a little stage frightened. The world looking on, small applause of stars as my heart tips its hat. Spoke to my father. I think it's self-explanatory. I had a good relationship. I used to live in Lindsay, and we used to live close to town, and we used to walk to town, buy the paper, have coffee. And this was my interrogation took place with him, and here's what happened. Here's what we result to this poem. My father's a simple man. I walked to town with my father to buy a newspaper. He walked slower than I do, so I must slow up. The street is filled with children. We argue about the price of pomegranates. I convince him he's a fruit of scholars. He has taken me on this journey and it's been lifelong. He's sure I'll be healthy so long as I eat more oranges. He tells me the orange has seeds and so it's perpetual, and we too will come back like the orange trees. I ask him what he thinks about death, and he says he will gladly face it when it comes, but won't jump out in front of the car. I gladly give my life for this man with a sixth grade education, whose kindness and patience are true. The truth of it is, he's a scholar, and when the bitter hard reality comes at me like a punishing evil stranger, I can always remember that he was a man who was a worker and provider, who learned the simple facts of life and lived by them, who held no pretense. And when he leaves with that benefit of fanfare or applause, I shall have learned what little there is to know about greatness. Like I said, I read fast. This is letter Soto. Actually, I had written a letter to Kay Soto, in Berkeley, good friend. And I never sent it. I like the beginning so much that I just decided to keep it there. I wrote a poem. Letter to Soto. We're on our way, all right, with a herd of wild dogs, for I have been frightened by the city. So go to the hills to be renewed. Even the sky is different. The stars huddle like women, and I'm counting my size, but there's much to be said about wealth. We're on our way, all right. The river where you almost drowned, and Mariko is screaming. I'm from the plum country. Certainly the ghettos walk on bad knees. The Fresno prostitutes are trying to convince us to look up their sleeves. The beggars bumping into me with eyes of pale milk, and a woman somewhere whispering to lilacs. Omar is crazy. Yes, ladies. Yes, yes, yes to anything. In the big theater of loneliness, like a huge hand dropping out of the sky. Yet I can hear my friends in the distance, like thugs, saying, Omar, it's all right, it's all right. And the mind adds zeros, the fresh pops of youth in its heart. The heart is silent, like a dancing string package of cigarettes in the asylum. And they find me on bad elbows by the meadow with a copy of Omar Khayyam, whiskey, and my poems I can't find in here. Part of the job of the poet is to entertain. And this seemed difficult for me in my early years. I took that, I didn't take it with being a solo, I took it as an entertainer and stuff like that. I played guitar or something, but it's not that way. I don't know that I give the lessons. It's serious stuff. You will be darker soon. It will be darkness soon, and she will be slipping into bed like an angelfish. I gaze out the window and observe the quiet and reverie of the trees. I'm reminded of the sad uncle who drank whiskey and died sitting on a stool. The woman's beauty will also fade into an abandonment. As I think through these lines, she wakens and calls. I touch her shoulder and remember the sea, the solitude of a rising moon, saying, the heart has always drifted, there will be darkness soon. In the thick of darkness. When night comes in, I will be a startled crab in the thick of darkness. I will be ancient and likewise young. When dusk rolls in, rabbit-eared and cockeyed, I will surround myself with my old friend solitude. When night kneels like a beggar, I will surprise a woman and put a knife into joy. His blood mercy my well saved me. I shall be gone for days, carrying the sack of desire, and from the laconic provinces I will rise, clean-shaven, wearing the hard crust of silence. Sadness for days. It's a title poem from the I've been sad for days. None of the sadness of being born, or the sadness of a torn romance, or the sadness of a poor man smiling. Honestly, I would like to feel compassion for those without luck. I would like to touch his suffering and say that I understand. These days in November are obscure, almost silver and given to the heavens. Honestly, I want to find myself to sit under a tree with its dusty fruit of salvation. I will take my place, listen up, and have faith in all things. Until daybreak. It is evening, clouded and still. My fingers shout, no one can hear them. No one can see me outfitted in the color of dusk. Shadows dart in the backyard in the criminal air, and a woman could die here, pull out her hair and die. My hobo heart plays cards, the dogs bark at the devil, and I'm back in the intestines of a small town. Cover me with your love in the dark page of sleep. Single out my face. I will be the keeper of silence. I will beat these drums of night air. Promise. Well, I bet you I read this whole book already. It's titled The Ghost of Real Zapata. One time, I had an interview with this lady from the radio or something, television or something. And someone wrote me, she wanted to know how come I wrote about Che Guevara, Zapata, and these other political figures. And I said, well, you know, everybody has heroes or somebody that they want to bring back to life, so to speak, with in a poem. And it upset me, you know. I don't know. I'm always a terrible interviewee. They throw questions at you like, when you were born, did you know anything about orgasms? Strange stuff. The ghost of Emiliano Zapata, clearly something. It's serious stuff. No, it was quite a humorous Zapata. This Sunday at the market with the clouds like gorillas and the people dove-like approaching us from the mountains, the ghost of Emiliano Zapata haunts the marketplace. This Sunday the churches are markers for graves, and the insane silence rides a horse to some heaven. The woman across from me wants to be a mother, and I am full of ambition. The multiplication table of the poor begins here, and the multiplication of the dead ends here as well. Life on all fours gets up and hits itself like a tired woman. The hush enters my lungs. People with darkness. You think I had to look with darkness, I was thinking about darkness. Getting out of it is something new. I go dreaming roads in my youth. I'm not interested in the poverty of ignorance and its songs. To be generous to myself is my song. I will give my shirt to no one, even though I talk too much and give my words to the ungrateful. They will not find a home in my thoughts. I put on my hat, stride forward, act, dream, love, take a drink and let dream touch me. Yet in the end, I place it to rest. When I raise my arm to the populace, I raise it with sincerity and pride of my monstrous vitality. When the world clubs me, I shall fight back. If it loves me, I will love back. If it steps in my child's fortune, I will give thanks to God and those who surround me. I have many stories, the hardy dramatist weaving scenes of optimism, of alegría, of romance. The world is too tired, little concerned with pathos or the consequences of tragedy. What is important is the eloquence of a river and the poet pushing the boat into the water, a white dove gently from the hands of its mother, and a clumsy serenade dreaming the afternoon. Today I like this world, and if your life is worth nothing, don't sing. Don't come to my door with broken hearts and complaints. Today I go to new roads in my youth. Thank you.